And I've got a question to help you frame our conversation tonight. I want you to sort of think with this question in mind: why would someone be interested in our Trivita ITBO co-op marketing opportunity? What is really in it for them? So that's kind of the lens to put you in, and we're going to cover three categories tonight, and they're right here on the screen. We're going to just recap a little bit about our unfair advantage and why that is. We're going to talk about some of the new small business taxes and why they benefit exactly what we do. It's pretty exciting when you look at it from that perspective. And then we've collected three of the most common questions when new people are looking at the co-op marketing opportunity, and we're going to attempt to answer those. So my partner in crime, as usual here, is Presidential Director Brian Wirth. Brian, how are you doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic, Garth, and as always, great to be with you and excited about our call tonight.
Me too. So a couple of weeks ago on a call, you and Fred did a fantastic job, by the way. I want to let you know that was one of the best explanations of what a customer is and the customer opportunity. And you talked about how it was really an unfair advantage. I think it'd be kind of worth to kind of comment on that again, and any additional thoughts you had on that aspect of our opportunity.
Sure, absolutely. Well, thanks again, Garth, and again, great to be on the call tonight. Yeah, I really do believe that with Trivita, we have what I've always liked to refer to or call the unfair advantage, especially with what we have right now with the new MyoHealth customer acquisition program. But what do I mean by the unfair advantage? Well, if you look at all of the business opportunities that are out there today, whether it's in the direct sales industry or a traditional brick and mortar business like a franchise, there is nothing, I believe, nothing out there that can match what we have with Trivita. Take, for example, look at the cost of a franchise, hundreds of thousands of dollars that it costs to start a franchise. And usually it takes several years just to recoup, the original investment. The vast majority of people out there don't have those kinds of resources. Then if you look at the direct sales industry, most of the models that I see out there, in fact, all of the ones I see, you're really dependent on building a customer base through what I kind of refer to as the old model, where that's where you're totally relying on just building through, family and friends and referrals. We certainly do some of that, but we also have this co-op marketing system where Trivita runs the TV infomercials. They're attracting thousands of customers on a monthly basis, and they make those customers available for us to acquire and put them in our business. And then behind that, or fast track your business, which is the Business Accelerator Pack, and also the Executive Builder Program, which we're going to be talking about in just a few minutes. It really is an unfair advantage, Garth, no doubt about it.
Yeah, no question. So I want to remind everyone, I mentioned it earlier, but Brian and Fred Gonzar, another presidential director, did a great overview of this, and I've sent it out in the past, but I'm going to everyone who's listening, I'm going to resend out the link to that. I took out a 15-minute segment on the whole explanation of the customer and the unfair advantage. It's a great, not education tool, but it's a great tool to show new people as well. So I just want to remind you to watch for that as well. Okay, so the second one was the whole thing about the new small business tax laws, and just in general. I mean, there's some old that are beneficial, but there's some definitely new directions in the U.S. and in Canada that fully, I mean, just make what we're offering an amazing look at it. So Brian, I'm actually going to turn it back to you because we've got a special guest to talk about this function, and you can introduce him and bring him on. So back to you.
All right, fantastic. Well, I'm really excited about the guest that has come onto our call this evening. This is a gentleman that Tammy and I have worked with for over 10 years now, and we have a lot of trust in him. And the reason I say that is you have to have a lot of trust in somebody if they're handling your taxes for you. And he's done that for us and done just an unbelievable job. I mean, I look back over the 10 years plus, it's probably been a little bit longer than that, that he's been preparing and handling our taxes, helping us with our bookkeeping and all those things. And I know that he's saved us thousands and thousands of dollars over the years. And I thought it was very timely to bring him onto the call tonight because with the recent tax reform under the Trump administration, I'm getting a lot of calls and questions from people. How does that impact me? You know, is that going to be good for me or not? So I've asked Tom Bass with Accountable Solutions to come on the call tonight. And just a little background on Tom. You know, he's been in this industry for many, many years, specializing in the home-based business and small business arena. Now, Tom Bass has actually attained the status of what's called an enrolled agent. And if you don't know what that means, in short, it simply means he is an expert on tax code. If you look at CPAs as an example, when they take their exam, I think it's about 4 hours roughly, and Tom, you'll correct me if I get this wrong, or actually 1 hour is devoted in the exam with CPAs towards tax code. The exam for an enrolled agent is about 4 times that. So suffice it to say, he understands the tax laws as well as anybody out there, and he's right on top of these new tax laws that have just been put in place. So with that in mind, Tom, first of all, I want to thank you for being on the call this evening.
Well, thanks, Brian. I'm glad to be here. See what we can let everybody be aware of in terms of the new tax laws that are in the process of getting implemented.
Well, very good. Well, maybe we could just start out. I've got a couple questions for you. Let's just start out with the first question, Tom. With this new tax reform that's been put in place, do we still have all of the same tax benefits that we've had in the past for a home-based business? You know, I guess the question I'm getting asked, is it better or is it worse than it was before?
Well, actually, nothing has really changed directly that's going to impact the home-based business, but there are some pluses, and one of them is that whether you have a Schedule C, like most people that start out in the direct sales business or any other business that they work from home, or you've migrated up to an S corporation, you're actually going to get to take basically 20% of your profit and deduct it. And another way to look at it is that 20% of the profit that you'd normally get taxed on is going to be taxed at 0%. So even though we didn't get the deduction like C corporations did down to 21%, ours is going to come down, significantly. And the other thing is if you put the tax brackets for 2017 side by side with those from 2018 with the same amount of income, everybody but the people in the 10%, the lowest bracket, is actually going to be paying less tax because everybody got a deduction there. And the other side of that is that obviously the people in New York and New Jersey and Illinois, California, the really high income, high tax states, they're going to be at a disadvantage because they're only going to be able to deduct up to 10,000 of it. Let me give you a little insight of one way around that. Because we can deduct mortgage interest and property tax on our home office through our home office. Well, we can put in there based on our business use percentage of the home. We can take that percentage of the real estate tax, and then we'll still get to take the full 10,000 if your real estate taxes were over 10,000. So there's going to be a little extra deduction for people that have a home-based business. So that's a plus. So going forward, another thing that we do a lot of is you can actually, we call it family payroll, but if you have a Schedule C business, you can hire your kids from 6 to 17 and pay them. It's going to be tax-free to them. It'll be a deduction for you. And basically, that the amount you can pay your kids in 2017, the highest was $6,350, and under the new law, it's going to be $12,000 a year. So that can be a substantial extra deduction. It's just a gift from the government. I don't know if they thought that through, but that's, according to the rules, that's the way we can do it. And one other thing that it's possible to do is for people that have over $10,000 in real estate tax on their homes, there is a way to still not lose that deduction, I guess is the best way to put it, because you can actually add it onto the basis of your home, so that when you actually sell the home, you're going to get that tax back. So At the same time, if you do that, then that means you'll have more. If your state tax was going to be a problem, then you can take full $10,000 on your state tax. So you're having to give up some things, but there are some workarounds where it's not going to be quite as bad as it sounds like it is going forward.
Wow, that's fantastic. So what I'm hearing there too is that, for those of us that are in home-based businesses, specifically TriVita, one of the things I heard you say is perhaps it would make sense if you don't have set up as an LLC or as a S corp, because of that 20% deduction on the profits, which is new. It sounds to me like just about everybody that has a business working from their home in the direct sales industry should have a corporation, whether it's an LLC or an S corp. Is that fair to say?
Well, yes and no. It actually, if you have a Schedule C, you're still going to get that same 20%. Now, none of the media has reported that to any extent. They just talk about pass-through entities, which are the partnerships and S corporations. But Schedule C is going to come in on the same side of it. And we normally counsel with people. The figure I use is 100,000. When you're TriVita, your 1099 is going to be in excess of 100,000. That's the point where you definitely need one. But a lot of it depends on what your expenses are in the business, what other income you might have. So it's usually when someone's getting above 50 and growing, then we tell them, well, that's the year we're going to put you in in a S corporation. So you're right. Either way, you're still going to get the same deduction, but you do come out a little bit better once you have the S corp, because you don't end up paying Social Security tax on your distribution. So that's the big loophole there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, folks, that's why you can see already. That's why we got Tom doing this for us, because it's very complex, and having somebody that and again specializes in this industry, that's the key. So let me ask you this, Tom. You've got not only Tammy and I as clients in TriVita, but I've referred several others, many that are even on this call, that are actually, having you prepare their taxes as well. So you're well versed in our co-op marketing system, which is our customer acquisition system. And really, it's what we're actually doing when we participate in co-op is we're paying a portion of the advertising expense to attract those customers and put them in our business. From your point of view, because you handle a lot of other direct sales clients out there, and I'm not asking you to play favorites with TriVita, but from your point of view, talk about the co-op and why that stands out from a tax point of view, and maybe even address the tax deductibility of the business expense with TriVita.
Well, I'll do that first. There's no question that if you're participating in the co-op, it's 100% deductible. They're not your clients ultimately. That they're basically serviced by TriVita, and the thing that impresses me the most is that the percentage of retail customers to the people that are actually in the business is way in favor of retail. And that's so unusual in the direct sales arena that most people, they tend to, they're taught and they're encouraged to sign up so that you can buy wholesale. You don't have to have any customers, but it's a business, so you can take the deductions. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, you have to have a profit intent, and you can lose money, for multiple years and not have a problem. But at some point, you need to be showing a profit, and it's the thing I see with so many people, because I've been doing this so long, is that people that got into a business, they worked it real hard, they're making decent money at it, and then they just tend to retire in place. They quit recruiting, they they just stop actually pursuing the business as far as from the growth point of view, and they just are taking in their residual income, and it just gradually dwindles and dwindles. But from my experience, there are a number of people out there, fairly substantial number of people that will make $2,000 or $3,000 a year and write off 10 times that amount. Well, and just keep increasing that residual income over time.
Let me ask you this, Tom, if I may, before we kind of move on to the next subject. And this is something that you and I've talked about many times over the years, and that is, obviously we know that, there are thousands of dollars that a person could potentially save just in taxes alone by having a business like TriVita. Obviously, we don't go in business to lose money for taxes, but that it's a benefit. But the main thing that you've told me over the years is that what you just said is that you have to show an intent that you're growing your business. And, I've always believed, and I'd like your input on this so the others could hear from you, by continually participating in the co-op program, and we're going to be talking about that in just a minute, but the very fact that we are continually adding to our customer base and the importance, and that's one of the reasons it's also important in growing our business, but also showing that we have a clear intent to make money with our business by continually purchasing through the co-op program. Could you comment on that?
Well, I mean, you've hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what it is. And I'll just give you a little insight. I know for a fact that the IRS, in their own internal discussions, has seriously considered looking at the ratio of people that are actually consultants or whatever the terminology you want to apply to the people that actually join the business, compared to the number that are just retail. They're not buying wholesale in that sense. And their initial thought is, if it's not over 50% or majority of the people in the business aren't actually retail customers, then they want to take the position that basically they're going to close you up, because they don't, they're going to say that you're not really a business, that it's basically not being run from a profit point of view. I think one of the things that we should recognize is that every direct sales company, multi-level, whatever terminology you want to use with it, has three problems. It's recruiting, retention, and reactivation. And I think the co-op really that's as far as having an unfair advantage, that is an unfair advantage as far as the retention part of it, because just working with the people and until they see some results with the products, and then getting them, just continually having the company reach out to them, I think that is a winner, no question about it.
Wow, fantastic. Well, and Tom, we're going to definitely in the future, I mentioned this to you, but we'd love to have you and your business partner, Rhonda Johnson, come in and maybe do a Saturday morning workshop, and we'll invite everybody that would like to come in and have just and I know you do this quite often, just a seminar on how to make sure you're doing the things you need to do, documenting your expenses the way you need to, and I think all of our ITBOs with TriVita would really appreciate having you and Rhonda on a future call. So with that, I want to thank you for being on the call tonight. Greatly appreciate all the timely information, and we'll be back in touch with you and set up a time where we can do a little bit more explanation on some of the details on how to take advantage of all these tax advantages with a business. The one thing I will say, so again, thank you, Tom, for being with us.
Thank you.
The one thing I'll say, folks, is not only is it an advantage to you personally, but if you're not talking about some of these advantages of having a home-based business and the tax benefits, you're missing out on a good way to help in your recruiting process as well. So with that in mind, Garth, I'm going to turn it back over to you so we can move forward.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And I'm not a tax expert, but I've been around long enough and talked to enough that almost everything Tom said, there's an equivalent version of that in Canada. So for the Canadians that are listening, we've actually had some pretty strong small business tax advantages for years, and they remain very strong. And so this checks all the boxes in that category too. So I want to mention that. Brian and I want to close the call with kind of, remember back to our wearing our hats of why would someone be interested in this? The unfair advantage of the style of business we have with the co-op, we covered that. We talked about it from a tax perspective, which is a huge portion of being in business. And but there's common, as I know, when we start going out and talking to people about the MyoHealth and the co-op and the rebirth of all of this, there's some common questions that keep popping up. So Brian and I thought we'd cover the 3 most popular questions we're getting back, and just spend the last few minutes just kind of giving some answers and some bullet points, because as you know, we have to represent it properly and within line with how the company has set it up. So the first question, we often, and I know I've been guilty of this, is just, yeah, we advertise on TV and we get customers. And we kind of just move on quickly. I know I do all the time. But we don't really realize how difficult that is. I mean, Trivita, when we purchase a co-op contact name, it's a person who has responded to a show or an advertisement with the purchase of a product, mostly the 30-day MyoHealth challenge, the strength challenge, and that's amazing. Trivita has the ability to put a show on and get people to pull out their credit cards and make a purchase. Now, that may sound obvious in Business 101, but it is a lot harder to do than that. And I think we don't really, well, I know I don't really emphasize the amazingness of that particular transaction. So every person that we get, as if you've been around, has bought a product, and the 30-day strength challenge is a significant investment and a significant thing. And we also know that many of these customers, this is really exciting, are opting in on the auto ship or the ARP program, the automatic replenishing program. And as reported by the company in October, when the current show started going, they saw a 250% increase in people opting into the auto ship order. And I know, as I've seen co-op customers come in and talk to others, it's a very healthy number. We don't really want to give a percentage because it's everyone's experience can differ, but it's very strong, the number of people who are opting in on an auto ship order. Thirdly, it's good to explain to new people that the customers then continue to receive Trivita's ongoing marketing and customer service offers. That's where you talk about the catalogs, the emails. They're much more regular on outbound calls. The call center, the care center, it really is a fabulous resource of not only just upsells, but re-engaging people, introducing new products to them, special offers, and of course the valuable preferred member has been a very big success. Everybody loves free shipping, and I know when I buy online, I was just talking to someone today, they're just saying they'll always spend that little bit more, whether it's with Trivita or with a clothing company or whoever they're buying from online, to get that free shipping. Those are very significant offers, and it increases the customer experience. And then lastly, the customers through all of this are incentivized to refer new customers. And last fall, Trivita saw a 50% increase in this. So that means existing customers referring brand new customers from them because they're incentivized. They get Vita points, which work towards free product for them. So they get rewarded for referring people. And when one of your contact names refers somebody else and they purchase, they're one of your customers. And you're getting the 40% on the first sale bonus and all the other aspects. So sometimes, you know, I just guess I want to encourage people not to gloss over what a customer is and the length and the system that Trivita has created, because it really is unique. Tom just mentioned it. Brian mentioned it at the beginning, that it's pretty fantastic, and we should highlight it and be proud of it, because Michael and Trivita have done an amazing job in creating this with an 18-year track record to boot. So that's pretty impressive. Which leads then into the next question that we often get once you explain that is, well, okay, well, how many customers do I need? So Brian, I'm going to sort of turn this question back over to you, sort of talk about how do you answer that? Because I know people are looking for a math formula about, well, how many do I need to be? But there's a little bit of education when it comes to this question, isn't there?
Yes, there is. I guess the short answer to this, Garth, how many customers do I need, might be as many as you can possibly get. I mean, the more, the better, right? Because we all know in business, the more customers you have, obviously, the more profit. So the idea is to, you know, continually, as we talked about earlier, grow your customer base. And there's three ways that you can do that. One is just simply to reapply the earnings that you're getting from the customers that, you know, your initial purchase of customers is just simply take those earnings and reapply them. Now, for some people, when they first get started, maybe they need or want, you know, need those earnings, and so they don't have the ability to do that. That's fine. However, we have a lot of ITBOs that are looking at this more as a building process over a period of 1, 2, 3, or maybe even 5 years. And they're not concerned about taking income out of the business in the early years. They're doing what most and a lot of smart business people will do, and that's they're reinvesting in their business. They're applying earnings back towards the co-op program so they can continue to expand their customer base. The second way is purchasing, just simply making additional purchases. And there's two ways. I want to just maybe take a little bit of a sidestep here. For people that are just getting started with their business, the two ways that we really recommend to fast track your business is through the Business Accelerator Pack, which is where you can literally start your business with 14 customers. If you haven't, for those of you that are on the call tonight, if you haven't looked into the Business Accelerator Pack, I would strongly recommend you do that. You can find it at myohealth.biz under the Resources tab. You click on that. It gives a complete explanation of how the Business Builder Pack works, what the contents are of the pack. The main focus, of course, is you've got you're starting your business out with 14 customers from the get-go. And then there's a number of other things in that pack, like there's extra MyoHealth products so that not only you can take the challenge yourself, but you can share it with other people. There's books, the books by Dr. Wolf on talking about the science behind this 9 essential amino acid complex. That Business Accelerator Pack is a fabulous way to accelerate the growth of your business. And as you're growing your business, imagine if you're bringing people in with this pack and everybody's starting out with 14 contacts. I mean, just a little quick math, you know, if we've laid out a very simple model of the 3 who get 3 who get 3, if you even take that down through just 3 levels of getting 3, second tier, you'd have 9 ITBOs, and the third tier, 27 ITBOs. When you do the math on that, you end up with 546 customers. And that's really the magic behind this program. It's not just what you can personally do, but it's also about building a team, which is the third way. Refer others and build a team. And I can't emphasize this enough. I'll go back to the Executive Builder program in just a moment. But team building with the Trivita business model, when you combine the power of team building with our customer acquisition program, that's where it really gets exciting. That's where the real leverage is. If I look back at the you know, over the years that we've been in TriVita, going all the way back to 2001, and we look at, we've got a pretty massive customer base. I can tell you, we didn't bring those customers in all ourselves. It was because we built an organizational structure, and that's the way this comp plan was really laid out, where it gives it the power, is by building that team, and with everybody buying a few customers as opposed to just one person buying a lot. That's where you can really build up a very substantial income. Now, I want to go back just for a moment on point number 2. Let's talk about the Executive Business Builder program. This is a fantastic program that was introduced just recently. And it's actually a program that we brought back because it was so successful years ago when we launched with our B12 program. And there's a fabulous promotional piece on this as well that features Ted Lamb and Cody Ramsey that actually built a huge business by using the Executive Builder program. But it's a great way, and this is a program where it's going to be for the people that have some discretionary funds that they can afford to put in and start their business with just 100 contacts. It's a fabulous program. You get paid a 40% first sale bonus for 12 months, not first sale, 40% bonus on all customer orders for a period of 12 months. And I know, Garth, I'm getting ahead of us a little bit because I know you're going to be talking about that in just a moment. But those three points on building your customer base, reapply earnings, purchase more contact names, and referring others to build a team, that's really the way to grow your TriVita business. Garth, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Brian. So that leads then to the next natural question, is people want to know how they earn. Like, what can I earn? And again, what the best way to answer that is just show them how the compensation plan works. I just put the big numbers on this. There's obviously other benefits as you build the team, but most people as a starting point want to get the direct connection between buying the contact names and referring others. So as Brian just mentioned, we earn, when we participate in the Executive Builder program, 12 months of 40% bonus on all their sales. So you can see below, you know, just depending on what you buy and what the customers purchase in products. But it's just a simple formula. And sometimes it's good to see it in writing. That's why I put it on the screen. $500 in sales, $200 in weekly earnings. The first sale bonus is always paid on a weekly aspect, so it follows the sales for that week. $1,000 in sales is $400 in weekly bonus, and so forth and so on. And then after that, what those sales convert into the ongoing 12 months for the Executive Builder program. After the 12 months, 20% paid on it. So as your volume in your first tier builds up, you can see the equivalent of that. Those are very strong numbers. I just, you know, when you see big percentages like that, sometimes it's good to break it down, and this simple little exercise shows that. So just to clarify, if you do the Executive Builder program, which is a minimum of 100 names, you get 12 months at 40%, and then 20% after that. If you do the Business Accelerator program, you get 6 months of 40% and then 20% after that. So I don't know, Brian, those are really strong numbers and really sort of make the eyeballs pop out. And then Brian mentioned referring others. And, you know, and back to his comment that he was kind of joking, but he's also very serious about as many people as possible. This business is about scale, and every business is about scale, but this is how this works. So TriVita wants to pay others to refer others. So when you bring in a new partner and they purchase the Business Accelerator program or the Executive Builder program, you're earning 10% along those same timelines that we just talked about as a extra referral. They're earning their 40%, you're earning their 10%. Then after that, it moves into the unilevel 4%. So, you know, not to get too detailed on the numbers, but I think sometimes it's a simple little showing people what that means in numbers. And it's much easier to translate into $500 a week or $1,000 a week or $100 a week or $10,000 a month. Translate into that, because those, you know, people set commission and income goals, and then it's very easy to say, this is what you need to be able to get to all of that. So those are kind of the big 3 questions that I find are very common, and it's good to be able to have answers and ways to be able to have people see, touch, and feel it. And then, well, lastly, I did want to just sort of clarify a comment I made earlier. Mitch reminded me on a little question panel here that when a customer refers, I'm actually not sure how much we get paid on it, Brian. I don't know if you know, but we do get paid on those customer referrals, and they're part of our organization. So I'll get clarification on that. So with that, we just really wanted tonight to really help guide the new person and why they should look at it, and look at it from many different angles. And I hope we accomplished that tonight. So Brian, I'm just going to sort of turn it back to you to sort of close out the call. I think you've got some updated news to share with us, and we'll sign off after that.
Oh, absolutely. And just one point, Garth, on the referrals, and this is one of the things that's so exciting about that co-op program, again, is that I know that coming up, I've had some conversations with our CEO, Michael Ellison, and they're working on some very, very aggressive campaigns, unlike anything we've ever done in the past, to encourage referring activity from the customer, from the contacts that we buy through the co-op program. But when a referral takes place, that referral goes on your front tier, on your first tier. So you're going to get paid the same commission that you would as if you had personally brought that customer in yourself. That's pretty exciting. So, and we can expect, I think we're going to see some really strong referring activity over the coming months. But in closing, Garth, you know, I got some updates today from Donita out of the corporate office. Very, very exciting. She sent me an email back. She said with 13 days still remaining in January, we have just about matched December fulfillment on the new Business Accelerator Pack and already surpassed the amount of names fulfilled for standard reservations that were done in December. So we're off to a great start in January. We're way ahead of pace. A strong percentage of the MyoHealth customers, I think you already talked about this, Garth, but a strong percentage of the new MyoHealth customers are coming in with the auto replenishment program. So that's very, very exciting. And here's another one that I love this, and we saw a lot of this with our previous co-op programs as well, but we're seeing even more activity with MyoHealth, and that's the MyoHealth customers are starting to add additional product purchases. In other words, they're purchasing B12 and Nopalea when they place their MyoHealth reorders. So just a lot of exciting things going on. We're going to continue to do webinars. Garth, I know you and I and a couple of the other members on the Field Advisory Council are working on some tools that we'll be finalizing over the next week or two. So it really is, it's exciting to see where we're at, and I believe 2018 is just going to be a phenomenal year. So I'll pass it back to you. Thanks again for having me on the call this evening.
Thanks, Brian. Happy business building, everybody. I know I'm very excited about it, and there's lots of conversations going on. I've got a call set up in a couple of days on someone on the Executive Builder program. So it's happening, just as Brian said. So have fun. We are in a great season and a great time, and MyoHealth is a fabulous product. Just love it to death. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night. Bye-bye.